Hello and welcome to another Refueled podcast where we have a bit of a chat.
We will have a bit of a chat.
And maybe a sip of beverage.
Coffee. Yeah, I've decided to go with an iced coffee here today because it's like about 30 odd degrees.
Yes.
So I did offer you one and you
rejected. I've already had a hot version. But we're going to have a chat about all things motoring as we do every week.
Yeah, well we started last week, didn't we? We spoke about the cars built from 2010 to 2019.
Yep.
So
we did.
What do we call that?
We were commenting on the article that I came across where they put forward their top 20 cars of the decade.
And we didn't agree with
We didn't agree with a lot of them.
No.
So we've come up with our own.
We have. And ours is much better.
Of course.
Yes. Mine's much better anyway. I don't know about yours. I haven't seen yours.
No.
So but I'll take your comments and go from there.
I struggled with 20.
Yeah, I struggled. I got to about 18 and then I thought, well, maybe I'll just put 3 Lamborghinis in or just like Porsche, like that sort of stuff, and you can go from 10 to 20 pretty quickly like that. True. But I haven't done it.
I've tried to copy what they said, which was one car per manufacturer.
Yep.
And in various categories.
Okay, well I've not followed their guidelines because I've sort of created my own, as I generally do.
Yep.
And I wanted to try and come up with something like a car introduced during that period between 2010 to 2020.
Yep.
That didn't exist beforehand. So like it wasn't another model, if you know what I mean, of the same car, which just happened to be better. So it was actually being introduced during that period of time.
Oh, interesting. I'll look forward to that.
There you go.
Okay, well we'll do that in a little while.
Okay, lovely.
We've got some news to talk about, probably.
I want to start straight off. My love of Teslas, and we talk about Teslas obviously on the channel quite a lot.
We're going to start there.
We're going to start there today. I actually want to start with my love of Teslas. So, and I don't actually not love them, but I'm just constantly bemused by the people who buy them. No offence to Tesla owners. Well, maybe every offence to Tesla owners. I don't know. Hit the media. Another steering wheel has fallen off a brand new Tesla. Again. Like another one.
I didn't realise one had already.
Yes, they fall off all the time apparently.
Oh.
So the report goes. So yes, it's a Tesla Model Y, and the steering wheel fell off as he was driving it. That was my reaction as well. It's probably not something that you'd want to happen to a car. Now, look, in all fairness, I don't know how many have fallen off. What I can tell you though is he obviously on a flatbed truck back into Tesla. They refitted the steering wheel and gave him a bill for $120.
Oh.
That's a brand new car. Now, I would have thought that would have been covered under warranty.
I would have thought that would have been covered under warranty.
So,
assuming it wasn't, he hadn't undone it or something.
So he's predominantly sent a Twitter to Elon Musk. Probably set up a poll to ask how many people Elon should charge for not charge and fix the steering wheel for free, and they've obviously refunded his money.
Right.
So for that, but now he wants to return the vehicle because he doesn't trust it. So it's a little bit hard to trust a vehicle when your steering wheel falls off, I guess, isn't it? Yeah. So there you go.
That's why you should always buy one with FSD. Then it doesn't matter.
I actually don't think it's that.
Maybe that's the incentive. It was this driver has not purchased FSD.
Yeah.
We'll teach him. We'll flick the detached steering wheel option button.
The detached steering. So
it's a hidden piece of code in the software for every driver, every customer of Tesla who doesn't purchase the FSD, because the tight asses. There's a bit of software there with the detached steering wheel.
Detached steering wheel.
It's punishment.
It's punishment, Jesus.
And if you would have bought the FSD, you wouldn't have to worry about it.
No, he's probably fairly lucky that he wasn't going too far.
Where was this incidentally?
I think it was in America somewhere. So I won't put his name up, but obviously you can go and search for it. It was a Model Y. He was driving down the highway, and his steering wheel came off. So look, I honestly can say that I've experienced that as well. So it's not just a phenomenon of Teslas. Like back in the 80s maybe. God, how old am I? So I used to own a 1968 Falcon. It's a little bit older than a Tesla, obviously, than a brand new Tesla, 1968.
Obviously.
And I was driving down the road, and I'd fitted a sport steering wheel, as you do when you're young.
Ah.
And
So it's your fault.
yeah, and I sort of turned and pulled on the steering wheel come off in hand. And it is quite an unnerving feeling when you're driving down the road at, 50, 60 kilometres an hour, and you can't steer the car, because you've got this steering wheel. Did you look at the passenger and you go, oh, I've got the steering wheel in my hand. What do I do?
Brake would be a good idea.
I didn't brake.
Did you try to steer the car on the
No. I quickly ran the steering wheel back on as hard as I could. In a moment of panic.
I bet you half the people would try to steer still. With, well, what do I do now?
Oh dear. So there we go. Anyway, so after interaction with police and a tow truck, he had his vehicle towed to a Tesla service centre. The incident was investigated, and he was charged $103. Sorry, I said $120. He was charged $103. That's American, obviously, and later refunded after he lodged a complaint to the service centre. That Elon Musk, am I responsible for manufacturing defect? It's not even a week and getting a bill for my faulty steering wheel. Isn't it the company's responsibility to fix it? I'd greatly appreciate a refund. And keep the car, as we lost trust and the family's not feeling safe driving it back. So somehow I don't think you're going to get a refund and keep the car.
No.
So but Tesla had a full refund policy many years ago. I think they've pulled it now. They actually had a full 7-day money back refund on their vehicles. I think that's been deleted now.
Yeah.
I think from memory.
Well, I think we've had this discussion before. I don't care what manufacturer you are. Pretty much they all have issues. You search anything, and there's always some. We were talking about Ford the other day, like a couple of weeks ago, with the new Ranger, and how they're just they're magically stopping. Complete power loss.
That's factory, though.
And all that sort of stuff. That is factory.
Yeah, it's factory. Yeah, it's
and they're in the dealer for months. They come back 2 weeks later, it's back. Clutch gone or gearbox gone. Sorry,
they design like that.
Yeah,
that's supposed to happen. So I guess we take fun of Tesla because they're new kids on the block. Don't we?
Yes. Although of all things to go, steering wheel is something you don't want to come off.
You don't want it to come off. I can tell you that.
No.
Because you've got to react fairly quickly. And looking at it, it's not like it was on a stub of a rack where you could actually push it back on. It looked like it's just come off. Oh God. Anyway, so. There you go. So they dropped the yoke. It wasn't a yoke. It was a round one. They dropped the yoke, and the round one's come off anyway. So maybe they need to get a square one.
Well, like I said, they just don't have one.
Don't have one.
FSD.
So I started the news. So I'll let you start with the segments.
Well, I know we always go to F1, but before we go to F1, I'm just going to switch the screens. I want to make sure I get it right. And I know you're looking at it.
Yes, I'm looking at it.
Did you know that the doc is back?
The doc is back.
The doc. Emmett Brown has returned.
Long lost cousin.
From Back to the Future.
Yep.
And he's no longer obviously working for himself and creating time machines, etc.
Right.
He's obviously gone and got a job in the design department at Hyundai.
Oh, at a Hyundai?
Yes.
So he's building a Back to the Future time machine out of Hyundai.
Hyundai have released a concept car called the N-Vision 74.
Right, okay.
And if that doesn't look like the DeLorean out of the Back to the Future...
It does, yes. So even silver.
I don't know what does.
No. Where is the flux capacitor?
Well, I don't know because I haven't seen inside.
Right.
And I don't know whether... Well, I don't think it's got scissor doors.
Right.
But from every angle, it doesn't half look like a DeLorean.
Right. So the Hyundai design department, we're talking 2023.
It's just come out.
Right.
It's just relatively come out soon.
Have designed a car that was built, back in the 80s?
Yeah.
They've redesigned a 40-year-old vehicle to look like a 40-year-old vehicle.
Yes. Well, that's why I'm wondering whether it is Doc Brown who has use the DeLorean
to come back to the future.
Come back to the future. To say,
from the
past, to say, look what we did back then, in case you've already forgotten.
Yep.
So I'm going to go, or maybe Hyundai designed it first, and then Doc Brown went back in time to design the DeLorean from copying
from 2023.
Yeah,
probably right.
Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah. Well, I hope it doesn't have the same performance as the DeLorean did.
Well, I don't know. What? If it hits 88 miles an hour, it goes, jumps time.
It's not DeLorean, the planet that 88 miles an hour. Not a standard one.
Hyundai again in the news. We love Hyundai. So they employ kids. No, I shouldn't go there. But they have dubious staffing policies.
Yep. With their contractors.
They have noise issues.
They had noise issues.
And now they have a time machine.
And well, they got it all sorted out.
Hyundai are the future and the past and the present.
I've got no other words for that.
Have a look. Go and have a look at the Hyundai Envision 74.
Yep.
And
if you're really talented, we might be able to put a picture up.
We might be able to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll see if I can find someone that's talented. That's weird.
I can make a pretty good iced coffee though.
I wouldn't know. I've never been offered one.
There you go.
Next.
Oh dear. Well, we normally start with a little bit of Ford, with a little bit of F1 news. Not Ford news. A little bit of F1 news. I might have some Ford news those for you as well.
But we haven't started there because you were so excited about Tesla.
I was so excited about the steering wheel.
How long have you been itching to talk about that?
A couple of days.
Have you slept?
No. No, haven't slept. No.
It's like Christmas.
I've got to get this out there.
We're like a 5-year-old at Christmas Eve.
Yep, I've got to tell everybody that the steering wheels are falling off your Teslas everywhere. It's a phenomenon. It's happening everywhere. Oh dear. So obviously,
anyway.
Yes. F1. So a lot of the 2023 F1 announcements are coming out. The cars are being released.
Haas have just released their
images. Yes.
Yes, it was first.
I thought rather than talk about anybody else, we might as well talk about Red Bull.
Okay.
Red Bull, they've been obviously, Australian connection, Daniel, etc., world champions, like all that. They're releasing their car in America. So, normally it would be, London over there. So they've decided to release their car this year in America. And I guess the question is why? So, the answer is sponsors, obviously. So I think there's a few reasons. One of them is obviously one of their major sponsors is an American-based company out of Texas. So that's going to help them. And it's in New York. They're not releasing in Texas. They're actually doing it in New York. They've been in New York before. They've raced around the streets in New York. So a bit of a demo. I don't know whether that could lead into having an F1 race in New York around the streets. Probably not. So, but
there's no bends.
Well, it's corners.
Well, it will be straight 90 degrees, straight 90 degrees, straight 90 degrees.
Probably like every other street. So no, that's not fair, is it? So yeah, but I guess you're looking to say if they're releasing their new vehicles, their new cars in America, are we going to see the 2023 F1 Red Bull car or not? Because it's a long way to take them from Milton Keynes just for a press release to pack them up and take them all back again.
It is.
So, I'm wondering whether we'll actually get to see the genuine article or whether we get to see, last year's cars and it's a bit of a song dance and a bit of a show. Not that it really matters, maybe with a bit of bodywork on it, something like that. So that's probably the question that I ask, as to what we'll actually see when they do it. But interesting that they've gone with America. I think it shows that American connection. Someone is looking to try and secure sponsorship, fans, supporters, and I think you'll see Daniel being a big part of that.
Daniel will be a part of that for sure.
Yeah, they're going to try and lock up America as the Red Bull fans.
Yeah.
So, and why wouldn't you?
Yeah, no,
I'd be doing exactly the same thing.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So you just see the F1 car racing brown, yellow taxi cabs, can't you?
Is it a Crown? Is it a Crown Victoria? Is that the?
They used to use Crown Vics. Yeah. So, and of course, the other thing that happens in America, Ford happened in America.
It happened in America.
Ford happens in America. It happens everywhere else as well.
What is this happening that you discuss?
Well, is Red Bull going to tie the knot with Ford? Do you think there's a little bit, sponsorship, fans, races in America? Is it something to do with maybe Ford coming on board as an engine supplier as well?
Well, we have to talk
at some stage.
That has been alluded, hasn't it?
So that could be interesting. So you might see more. Watch this space.
Absolutely.
I guess.
And then just imagine Red Bull could become the most unreliable car in F1.
I bet you their steering wheels don't fall off.
No, just they'd break down.
Well, because I've watched last week's episode. Yeah. Oh dear.
Audi.
So,
Audi have bought.
It's official.
A minority stake in Sauber,
Right.
in preparation for their launch into F1 in 2026. So
I think that was probably one of the worst kept secrets that Audi were.
yeah, well, Audi had obviously announced that they were
Coming in.
were coming in. I think it was all official and everything, but they've actually now bought a stake in the team as they make put in the necessary steps to actually get here.
I think it's a fantastic thing.
So I'm just looking at a rendering now actually of the car in a black and red livery with the 4 rings on it, and actually looks pretty cool. But I think because with Alfa Romeo at the moment, Alfa Romeo is Sauber at the moment, and obviously I think they're going to run the Ferrari engines for the next couple of years, and then obviously that'll then lead into the development of Audi, I guess. So it'll be interesting to see that flip from being Alfa Romeo with effectively Ferrari support to becoming a direct competitor with Audi, and how that transitions from one to the other. That'll be an interesting thing to watch in the next couple of years.
I love it. I think having multiple manufacturers involved in any form of motorsport is brilliant, and we don't see enough of it. Like, here in Australia, we really get, it's Ford and Chevrolet now, but we're 2 manufacturers. I mean, they tried to get, more manufacturers involved, and it didn't really work, did it?
No, they never really committed, did they? And I guess, it's always a money thing, isn't it? And I guess F1's has now become such a worldwide,
a lucrative, beneficial. Yes.
That it's gone from people or companies sort of looking at it and going as a bit of a money pit to now we've got to get in, So we'll see.
All right, that's great. That's great news. Yeah.
That's my F1 news.
That's your F1 news. I don't think it's really a lot. So
it'll become a lot more exciting over the next couple of months as we gear up to testing and whatnot, and we'll go from there.
We mentioned last week, and I think it was worldwide news, that Tesla dropped their prices.
Yep.
Ford have now done the same thing.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. On their Mustang.
They had to.
They had to. Yeah. I think everybody had to.
Yeah.
So those that can. I mean, there's going to be some manufacturers out there that can't drop their prices.
It's interesting because I think Ford make a loss on there every time they sell a Mach-E, so it'll be making an even bigger loss now.
An even bigger loss, yeah. Well, I think the only company that's profitable is Tesla. Yeah. Is Tesla, and I think we had that conversation last week.
Yeah.
But
on the electric vehicles we're talking about.
So they've slashed their Mach-E prices, and they've increased production on the vehicles. I mean, they can sell every single car they make. I mean, that's not in question. And like Tesla, I think Tesla can sell every single car they actually make. It's I think they're your two manufacturers that are coming out of America, and the rest of it is who competes with China, and just trying to shut everybody else down over time.
Speaking of that, I saw my very first BYD.
Really?
On the road. I meant to mention this to you.
How do you feel about that?
I had no idea what it was.
Okay.
I didn't even know that we could buy them here.
Yeah.
And I was driving along, and I was coming up to it on the motorway, and I come up to a car, and I'm like, I'm pretty good at recognising car makes and models, and like you do, you're sort of looking around to see if anything catches your eye, and I'm like, what on earth is that? Don't know what that is. And it had lettering above the tail lights and a little thing down in the corner, and then I could make out it said BYD in the corner. I'm like, oh, it's a BYD. Geez, I didn't even know we sold them here.
Okay.
As I got closer, I worked out. I was able to see what the letters were.
Right.
And I didn't realise what BYD stood for.
Bang your drum.
No.
Oh, okay. I'm shocked.
But it had this written across. It's what it comes with.
Right.
Build your dreams.
Build your dreams. Where have I heard that before?
Don't know. But this is what it had across the back. Build your dreams. I'm like,
dreams. Okay, so it's not bang your drum.
No, it's not bang your drum.
So I was wrong.
You were. So how about that? It actually stands for build your dreams.
I'm amazed. I might have to go and do some research. I actually think that slogan's been used somewhere before.
Build your dreams.
I don't know where.
What an interesting name for a car.
Yeah.
I would like to buy a Build Your Dreams, please.
I'll have one or two.
Yes.
How many dreams would you like?
Yes. I just hope it doesn't come into a Build Your Nightmare.
Oh dear.
So yes, that just occurred to me when you were talking about when you said China.
Yeah. Oh, that is.
So that learn something new.
That's an absolute classic. How's your week been since last week?
I've had no breakdowns. I
love that you start with I've had no breakdowns, by the way. Yeah.
Well, because I've had one. Well, it wasn't really a breakdown. It was a event.
Catastrophic engine explosion. Yes.
Which is all fixed and it's still running fine. It's been not too bad. I mean, obviously the highlight was the Build Your Dreams, as I mentioned.
Yeah.
That was definitely the highlight of the week.
The highlight of the week. Wow.
I was seeing that and learning what BYD stood for. So I learned something new. What about you?
I've had a great week. We went to, I think we said last week we were doing the show just before Australia Day, which is a national public holiday.
Yes, because you sent me a photo.
I sent you, I did, yes, and I will have a chat about the photo as well. So I went to a car show on Australia Day, which is great. One of the big ones here in southeast Queensland. It's done for charity, as a lot of them are. We had 600 cars turn up.
It's a big show. That
was a big show, and it was a lot of everything, from old cars to new cars, which was good. We went with the club. I'm in the Mustang Club. We went, had a bit of representation there. Go around, have a little look, have breakfast, have a cup of coffee, all that sort of stuff. Look at the cars and then drive home.
So the car highlight was?
The car highlight there, it had to be kit.
So you sent me a photo?
I sent you a photo, didn't I?
Yeah, of a black?
Have a crack at this.
Pontiac?
Yep.
Trans Am?
Yep.
Fully kitted out?
Fully kitted out. Kit number plates, kit interior, all self-designed. So, we're talking about DeLoreans, so I've seen a few DeLoreans around.
Yeah.
I think that no matter what you're doing, there's no car that you can come across that will upstage you other than a DeLorean. Like, no matter what you're driving, it just sits there and will upstage anybody. And I guess the only one that's got to come close to that is maybe a genuine kit. And this was, for all intents and purposes, a really, really good replica with all the buttons, the dash, the steering wheel. He's gone to great lengths to do that. Wow. It was absolutely fantastic.
And did it still look cool, even though?
And it still looked cool.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. It's still my favourite. I think it's still my favourite
movie car,
TV car, whatever you want to call it. It's still certainly up there.
Yeah.
So,
that was good.
I think it's just a cool looking car, wasn't it? The black.
Yep.
Sports car with a red thing.
He's got the light. He's got the flashing light bars in the front of it and all that. But what I was really amazed about is, you actually look inside it, and just you can see the dash, and from the driver's perspective, it's looks like kit. On the passenger side, you get nothing. So because the way they've shaped, the fiberglass or the plastic dash, almost like to wrap around the driver. It leaves very little there for the passenger. You don't notice that so much on the TV, but I guess this is, built as a replica, and that's what it would have looked like
with the yoke.
With the yoke.
Yes. You see, Elon's onto something.
Yes, the classic Knight Rider. We should send Elon a text, not a text, a tweet.
A tweet. Were you a Knight Rider fan?
Were you a Knight Rider fan?
Yeah.
How many times did you watch Knight Rider?
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you a Hasselhoff admirer?
Yes. Go the Hoff.
Yes, the Hofmeister.
Go the Hoff. Speaking of the Hoff, Netflix have just brought out the series on Pamela Anderson. So about her career, her interview and everything. So there you go. Now we're doing a broadcast for Netflix. But you can never resist, speaking about the Hoff. And of course they interview the Hoff during it. And of course running down the beach with his thing, his pontoon thing, whatever it is, in the orange thing. Baywatch, that's it. Yeah, so all that's covered. You got to talk about the Hoff when you can, can't you?
What a classic guy. I reckon the Germans are smart.
Germans are smart. Yeah, number one record singers. On top of the Berlin,
on
top of the Brandenburg gates. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't get any cooler than a black Trans Am with a red thing.
Yep.
And a Hofmeister with black pants, A red shirt buttoned down to here somewhere, you know, and curly fuzzy hair.
That's it. That's the image, isn't it, that you got to take with you. So there you go.
Well,
so on the rest of the note, the whole classic car thing was fine. Yeah, I had no issues at all. Drove there, drove home. It was fairly good.
You drove there, drove home?
Well, I didn't quite make it home. Well, I did make it home in the end.
You made it while you're here?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So you obviously made it home.
So we were going to finish. We were going to finish at lunchtime, and so we packed up, left. We were going back to the clubhouse for, you know, shrimp on the barbie.
I always ask the question every time you go out in your car.
Yes.
So let me ask the question, because I think I know where you might be going.
Okay, righto.
Did you break down?
Yes, I did. Well, it's a Ford. I mean, we know the reliability ratings of a Ford.
That's a brand new one. This is like 100 million years old. This one's nearly as old as you.
Yep. So I came around the corner, and it just died. There was nothing. I was actually talking to the wife on the phone. I said, wife, I've got nothing. I said, I'm dead. I'm completely dead.
You didn't run out of petrol?
No, I didn't run out of petrol, but that probably would have done that as well, although it would have sputtered a bit. But yeah, I was driving, round corner, turning right, accelerate, nothing.
And the ponies just went dead?
There were no ponies. Completely cactus. So I rolled to a stop, like I'm looking around, and there's people looking at me and laughing, I guess.
As you would, yes.
Yep, you know, get the, you know, don't buy a Ford, this is what happens.
Don't buy an old Mustang because...
Yeah. And coasted over to the side of the road. And, you know, lost my Bluetooth connection, obviously. So, you know, now I'm talking, so I've got to try and find the wife back again on the phone. So, car's dead. Wonderful, great. So, good thing is I had a mate obviously ahead of me, saw it, so he pulled over and stopped, and they walked back. So, well, we're going to push off the road. So push off the road, up the bonnet.
Yep. Pretend you know what you're doing.
Pretend we know what we're doing, that's it. So we look under there, couldn't find anything, there was an engine there, it was great. Engine was still there, hadn't got stolen.
Was no steam?
Check the fuse.
No steam, flames.
No steam.
Smoke.
And it was just like a flat battery. Like literally, it was like you turn the key, nothing. It was just completely dead, as if the battery had just completely internally collapsed inside the battery. I thought, well, you know, that's probably what it is. We checked all the fuses. We thought it's ignition, because I had no power. So
you have ignition.
I had ignition. No, I didn't have ignition.
No, I mean, it normally has ignition.
It normally has ignition, yeah.
Wow.
Yep. No afterburners, just ignition.
You don't have to go out there and sort of...
No crank. So the...
Throw some coal on them, come on!
Yeah, so there was no power. There we go, there's no power.
Okay.
So no lights, no nothing, no turn the thing and stuff happens. It was dead as a doornail. So I thought, well, what do we do?
Tow.
Yeah, so
the ultimate embarrassment.
Yeah, so I walk up the road, and one of the mates was there. Said, "Look, I'll go home and get my 4-wheel drive." And he said, "You know, walk up the road." I said, "Mate, I'll just take it home. We'll have a look and fix it at home. We're not going to try and fix it on the side of the road."
Yeah.
And went and hired a trailer and said, "I'll be back in an hour to pick it up." You know, because that's it. And rang the wife and said, "Wife, get the truck out. Come and get me. I can't really ask my mate to, you know, tow it all the way home and then tow the trailer all the way back again, and then he's got to go home." So I said, well, just come pick me up, like she'll be there in 40 minutes.
Yep.
So she jumped in the truck and headed in, and you know, we got back there, we sit there, mate comes back with a drink and his 4-wheel drive, and I said, I've got the wife on the way. He said, oh no, I'll tow it. So, which is obviously great, you know, mates stick together.
Yep.
So excellent, Brett, thank you.
I would have just
and Doc.
I would have just left you.
You would have just left, I know. Yeah. In the great spirit of the Top Gear episode.
See ya.
There you go. You're on your own. So anyway, so we had half an hour or so to kill, and we're up with the bonnet again and having a look, and we couldn't find, we literally couldn't find anything. We're just looking down at the wires near the battery and thought, oh, that looks a little bit unusual. And 2 of the wires from the headlight relay had fused together. So they've run the positive and the negative wire, and I didn't do the wiring, I have now. They've run the positive and the negative wire next to each other. It's worn through, they've shorted out, and they've just basically all melted and corroded and fused together. I mean, the next thing would have been smoke and flame.
Yes.
And we would have known where the problem was if there was smoke and flame, but there was no smoke or flame. So that was probably, touch wood, a very, very good thing.
Yeah.
And, funnily enough, you get an auto electrician who, stops by and says, "Can I give you a hand?" I go, "Oh no, we've actually found it." And he goes, "Oh, probably wouldn't have happened if you didn't have all them bloody wires on there like that, because you get on the starter solenoid and you put, positive, 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 until they extend out to the entire length of the, the bolt in the starter, in the starter solenoid. Yeah, and, I probably wouldn't do that. So I've rewired it and put a distribution block in there and run the headlights off that, and touch wood, it'll be fine again for a while until something else burns through.
So it does start again now?
Yeah, drove it home. Yep. So I had to go back, cancel the trailer.
So you did all that.
So I ring the wife and I go, "Wife, you don't have to come and get me anymore." And she goes, "Oh, well, that's probably a bit unfortunate because I'm just over here and I can see you." So I've driven all the way out. So the car show was free, by the way. It was absolutely free to go to. They provided coffee and breakfast for nothing. So it was a free day out, which cost me about $200. Petrol for 2 vehicles, trailer hire, fuse bits and pieces, all that. So my free, and I missed the lunch at the club as well.
At the end.
Yes, because it took me so many hours to get home afterwards.
All for fun.
All for fun. Yes. Yeah, all for fun.
Yeah.
We get up and take him out again this weekend. So cruise and lunch this weekend. Okay. So we'll see how we go.
So hopefully
next week I might not say that broke down again.
Well, not for that problem anyway. I guess you have to go through the whole vehicle and go through all the faults.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, the wiring of a 1966 Mustang under the dash is something to behold.
I'm surprised there's even wiring there at all. Well, they're like the candles or something.
So I've got other problems now that have eventuated. So the tacho that I've put in doesn't work. So I've got to get under and have a look at that. So that's fused in the position that it was when the whole car stopped. So,
like $6,000.
I know it wasn't 6, it was about 2.5. I've got no idea why. But so that's something I'm going to pull out now. And, so maybe that $200 is now, $400 or $500 car show.
Well, I thought you taco you don't need anyway.
Well, it didn't have one standard, so
you don't need that. Who cares?
No, that's it. So there we go. So breakdown again. Lovely. That's why we drive these cars, isn't it? For some fun.
Just to break down and mend them.
Break down and mend them. That's it. Yeah.
That's what classic car ownership is all about.
Got nothing
breaking down and mending.
Got nothing better to do.
No. Spending whole days in the shed fixing what's gone wrong. Yep. Just to go out for a brief spell where everything works for 5 minutes and then you get another one.
We get a little bit of satisfaction between the people yelling abuse at you. But, lucky we didn't burn to the ground. So which was.
So we've both had lucky.
Yeah, well, you're lucky you didn't explode. I mean, we did explode, but you're lucky you didn't have catastrophic engine failure.
Yeah. So
also a Ford. I'll tell you what, I don't know what we're doing. The reliability of the Fords is not looking good at the moment, is it?
Haven't we? So far, we've both had Fords that are broken down.
Well, we did
Ford are the least reliable car in the world, according to that survey.
Yep. We did work out what the best car to drive was, didn't we? The most reliable car in the world was a Toyota.
That was a Land Rover.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it was a Toyota Corolla or Camry or something other. I can't even remember. Hybrid bloody thing.
I think any Toyota is the decision, isn't it? So, well, I guess should we get into the meaty bit?
Okay.
What we actually spoke about: cars from 2010 to 2019.
Right.
You don't need a break. You don't need to have a think about this.
No, I don't think so. As I said, what you sounds like you've got more cars than me, so I can kind of say whether I agree or whether I would offer another alternative.
Well, what's going to be interesting is whether we've got any of the same cars.
Yes.
And we did approach it a little bit differently, I think.
Yes.
So whereas I deliberately wanted to look for cars that were introduced, and hopefully I'm right on this one. If anybody thinks I'm wrong, feel free to complain. We love it. You may indeed use your eloquent words below. I don't know whether I should start off in any particular order.
Just go for it.
Start at the
top.
Unless
you want to start at the... Well, how have you done it? So, have you got a cheap, expensive, or the all expensive?
No. Well, that's the other thing. I didn't really want to think, let's look at a hatch, let's look at a sedan, let's look at a supercar. or, you know, I mean, you could just pick 10 supercars.
Yeah, you could. That's right.
And that, I mean, that's easy done.
Yeah.
And when I was thinking about it, I think, well, okay, you can just pick, okay, well, Aventador, Huracan, you know, everything, supercar after supercar. But I thought, well, let's look at the ones that were actually made in 2010, in 2011, 2012, and let's start there. So
go for it.
No particular order.
No particular order. Okay.
I think you have to have on any list. We've obviously said Lambo.
Yep.
You have to have on any list a Lamborghini Huracan and an Aventador. Okay, so there's two. Okay. So Huracan was built 2014.
Yep.
Aventador 2011.
I'd agree with the Aventador 100%. On my rule, I wouldn't have two Lambos.
Yep.
But
I was trying to get 20.
20 Lambos.
No, 20 cars.
Definitely the Aventador
Mm-hmm.
and Huracan. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So why I put the Huracan on, I know what you think. Why I put it on there was because it was actually built. It didn't exist prior.
Yep.
It wasn't. It was a new model.
Well, obviously the Aventador.
Well, neither did. Well, yeah, I know. That's it. Well, I guess, which would you have? Like, would you have
The Aventador.
You'd have the Aventador?
Absolutely.
Okay, I wouldn't have either.
It's got scissor doors and it's a V12. Lambo has to have scissor doors and be a V12 and be ridiculous. So I thought my only criticism of the Huracan
is it's really an Audi in disguise.
Yeah, it's a bit too normal.
But you could drive it every day.
Well, yeah,
and have that,
but you should not be able to drive a Lambo every day.
And have that green colour that you like so much.
A Lambo should be ridiculous.
Yep.
It should be uncomfortable. Like, it should be virtually undrivable.
Yep.
And you only take it out for half an hour on a Sunday and think, Jesus Christ, I'm never driving that again. But it looks amazing in your garage and you just can't resist taking it out again.
Yeah, I wouldn't have either.
But it's on your list.
Yeah, it's on my list.
Okay.
And I wouldn't have either. I'd buy Murcielago.
I probably wouldn't buy one of them either. I'd have a Countach out with a Cannonball Run.
But that's not built between 2010 and 2019.
Yeah, I know. Well, neither's the Murcielago.
It is.
Oh,
secret weapon.
Well, it was okay. Well, it wasn't. Didn't come out in.
Yes, it did.
No.
Well,
the Murcielago came.
Oh no, it actually came out beforehand, didn't it? So, and I wouldn't have counted it in my list for that reason. But in 2010, they built 10.
Okay.
For China.
Right.
Yes. So they built the Murcielago, Superleggera, LP 640, numbers, China Special Edition,
888.
888 with a big stripe.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you remember the one that had a big fluoro glow stripe right across the bonnet.
Yeah.
And they debuted it at the 2010 Beijing Auto Show. So that was built 2010. It technically qualifies, but not under the rules. But I just want to say, wouldn't have either Lambo. No. So
I'd have the Countach out at the start of the Cannonball one. You know, the start with the intro music.
Everybody would have a Countach.
Yeah. And they cross out the 55.
That's it.
Yeah.
Might have to do that.
Okay.
There we go.
So I'll definitely agree with the Aventador, and I'll give you the. I'd probably would include the Huracan, but.
I think as a car that's built during that period, it's an event.
Yeah.
Because you can say what else was actually available then. There probably wasn't a lot, and you know it actually created a daily driven supercar. I think it was like a VW Golf.
For Lambo.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the question. I mean, obviously, you started. It's more of a genuine competitor, like a 911 or a Ferrari. Pick whatever. You know. So and on that basis, I probably would still pick the Huracan over a 911. And even probably most Ferraris.
And most Ferraris as well, I think. Yeah. So just very good. Do you want me to keep going through my list?
Yeah.
2016.
Yep.
Bugatti Chiron.
Yes, that's on my list as well. Yes. So you've got two. I've got the Aventador and the Chiron.
Okay, so there you go.
I haven't got the Huracan, but
1500 horsepower.
Yep.
8 litres.
Yep.
W16. I mean, how do you argue with that? It's got to be
100%.
So, and it's a new car built. Obviously, It's not the early Bugatti Veyron.
Sure.
It's a brand new car that's built, so I think it actually qualifies.
Yep,
for my list
yep.
on the way that I did it. 2018. This is a little bit of a weird one because I wouldn't have it either, but I think I've put it on my list because of what it did in the market for SUVs. And you're going to know what I say, aren't you? Rolls-Royce Cullinan. So it made the list in 2018, and I think what it did was it set the price that other SUVs could achieve, if you know what I mean. So they created nothing any different to what, say the ultimate four-wheel drive Range Rover is, but they priced it, at like $325,000 US. And I think what Range Rover then realised is, well, we can sell ours at $325,000 US as well now. And why weren't we before?
Well, they kind of. Well, I guess the Bentley Bentayga was.
And the Bentley Bentayga was another one.
Okay. Well, that wasn't on my list.
Wasn't on your list?
No, the Rolls-Royce Cullinan wasn't on my list.
Okay. Do you know why it was called the Cullinan, or do you know what the Cullinan actually means? Or what it's named after?
It's
just for shits and giggles.
No, I don't actually know. It's probably some old Rolls-Royce reference.
Named after the largest diamond ever found at 3,100 carats.
Oh, wow.
So there you go.
Interesting.
For those that didn't know. Okay, so I thought I'd touch and start with obviously those.
So I've got Hurricane.
Yep.
And I've got the
Aventador.
Not Hurricane.
No, you've got the Aventador and the Chiron.
And the Chiron. Yep.
Okay, lovely. So two out of 4.
Yep.
Should I keep going with? I mean, we could make a list of supercar after supercar, when we could, but I sort of threw those down the bottom of the list, and I've started from the bottom.
Yeah.
And it sort of gets a little bit more interesting, I think, from now on.
Go for it.
Okay. 2017, Alpine, A10, A110.
So that was on the other list.
That was on the other list, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's on your list as well.
It's on my list as well. Yep. So.
That wasn't on my list either.
250 horsepower, rear-wheel drive, sports car. I mean, look, I tossed up because it's such a driver's car, and you talk to a lot of other people around the world who are interested in cars, and that's the car they all aspire to have. Like, one problem with it, it's French. So that's not on your list because you're a Pom.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't have a Renault on my list.
Yes. Okay. 2014. I've got to go with a bit of the American here.
I'm actually surprised we haven't got 20 American cars, but go for it. Yeah.
Well, I started with that, then I had to cross them all out because I realised that I just didn't fit the list. The C7 Corvette.
Wow.
2014.
Okay, that's not on my list either.
Yep. So I'm going to say the whole range, the whole C7 Corvette started in 2014, but as a car to have, you'd have the 2019 C7 ZR1 Roadster.
Right.
So, which was the last on the Z06 platform, 6.2 litre supercharged, 755 horsepower. So I think it is it's 215 miles an hour. It won the Road and Track Car of the Year when it was released, like the C7. It's the ultimate American-built sports car in that period, and I think it has to be on the list for that reason.
Okay.
So as an American-built sports car, obviously I think the new one is better again. But
so if I was picking if I had a category of American sports car, I'd pick the Ford GT.
Well, that might also be on the list.
But I can't have two.
You can't have, okay, so you can't have two American sports cars.
No, okay.
Well, so you've got cars from 20 different countries then. What's my sports car built in Russia?
The ladder Simonov.
Okay, right. So we'll move on. 2015. So I haven't put these in any year order. So I've just started on my list and
okay.
And it's probably in all honesty, it's probably in reverse order.
Okay.
Because I started at the top and worked down.
Okay.
So I'm going from the bottom up here.
Okay.
So it might tell you a little bit about the order.
Wow.
What about a Volkswagen?
Okay.
Like, you know, we didn't want to limit it to supercars, so we've got hot hatches, sedans, all that sort of stuff. So I'm trying to spread the love a little bit.
Right.
The 2015 Mark 7 Golf, the Golf R in particular. Now the Golf R is it hadn't been done like before. I mean, they hadn't had the Golf R before, but I think they might have done one back.
Well, they had the R32.
Yeah, but it's not the Golf R. So this is a model on its own. You know, where it was actually the Golf R, 300 horsepower. Like, it handled really well. It wasn't diesel.
Not as good as the Focus RS.
Well, okay. 2015 Ford Focus RS, 350 horsepower.
Focus RS is better.
Yeah, all four drives. So I've got both of them on the list. There you go.
Okay.
So a bit of European, and I've got the Ford Focus RS on the list.
Okay.
So, yeah. But of course, in 2015, I've also got a 5-door hatchback on the list as well. Well, not that the Focus wasn't a 5-door hatchback, because it was. 2015 to 2022, but they still run it. But in 2015, the Honda Civic Type R was built and released. Big Japanese sports car, sells around the world.
It does.
It looked as ugly as crap.
It does. It looks horrendous.
So the front end and the rear end.
That model looked just.
Were designed by two different people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't have a.
So
I'm disagreeing with a lot of your choices here.
Yeah, I know. So the reason why I put it on here and the reason why it became eligible for my list is because they didn't have the 5-door hatchback. They had a Civic Type R prior to 2010.
Yeah.
But it was only in the 3-door variant.
Yes.
So if anybody's wants to complain that it was released before 2010, the 5-door wasn't.
Okay.
So, but I think it was for rice burners and for people who couldn't see around corners. It was polarising in being a Japanese performance car. And I think the new one looks better.
The new one's better, but I think the going way back to the original Honda Civic Type R. Unfortunately, doesn't qualify for our list, but I mean that was more of a. This one was too fat and bloated, in my opinion.
Well, as I said, it had the front and the rear designed by two different people.
Yeah.
Like, I have absolutely no doubts about that.
I don't think it's a particularly good car.
You don't think particularly? Okay. Well,
but that's
I was looking for synonymous cars on the list, so there we go.
Okay. Carry on.
This one you're probably not going to put another Volkswagen on the list.
Okay.
The 2000, and I might have a few Volkswagens to put on the list.
I am surprised.
Yeah, I know. So I'll group them together into a group of 3 Volkswagens. One in 2010, one in 2011, and one in 2016. Okay, so 2010, I mean, how do you argue with a Porsche 911, the 997.2 version? I mean, it's really the ultimate driver's car, naturally aspirated. I mean, it's
boring.
Yeah, it's boring. I mean, yeah, but the Turbo S, PDK gearbox, I mean, it's absolute phenomenal performance.
It's still boring. I just don't like Porsche 911s.
Okay. So I'll continue with that, and I'll summarise really, really quickly for our avid Porsche lovers who know that they're the best cars out there.
Yeah.
Like and built, you know, just aspirational vehicles during that period. 2016, the 911R.
That was on their list as well.
That was on their list as well. 500 made, 600 hot horsepower, 3.6 twin turbo, ran over 205 miles an hour for a standard car.
Quick, yeah.
I mean, they're staggeringly quick.
I say the 911 is a brilliant car, right? Yep. Probably the best client's class from a driver's point of view. Brilliant car, and I still don't like them.
Yeah, and obviously the GT2 RS, which was in there, which was built in the 11s as well. So which is also 600 odd horsepower.
And just on that, cars to me aren't just about how good they are.
I wouldn't have any of those, by the way.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? I just find them soulless in a way, and I just don't get excited by. If I see a night, I mean, we see quite a few 911s. It's quite popular, you know, where I live, you see quite a few. And I just,
it's like a Huracan. Like they're fantastic to drive. They give you good fuel economy. They give you great performance. They handle brilliantly, You can drive them every day. You can race them on the weekend.
Yet, if a Maserati Gran Turismo goes by,
You sort of
which were
stop-
terrible,
You sort of look
I
at
go,
it,
oh,
don't
that's nice.
you?
Yeah.
You stop and look at it. Yeah.
And they sound fantastic as well.
Yeah.
But anyway,
So put all the 911s in.
I digress. I interject. I'll let you continue.
All the 911s in one boat, and say
Okay.
there are a couple of limited, low-run classic cars.
Yep.
I wouldn't have any of those,
Yep.
even though they're so special.
Even though they're on your list.
I'd buy a Stinger instead. You know, $1 million custom 911 made out of an old one, and all that. So,
Okay.
because I'm a classic car, no. As you know.
The only 911 I would have would be the Widowmaker.
The Widowmaker, yes.
Again, because it's got something about it.
Hmm.
It's almost a 911 on its own, as though it doesn't belong with the rest of the
That's
911s,
it.
which are all boring.
Yes.
This one's like a...
Yep.
It has got a character.
It has got a character.
Because it tries to kill
Tries
you.
to kill you every time you drive it.
Yeah.
Yes. Turbo kick in that. 2017, and this has to be on your list as well. The McLaren 720.
No, it's not.
Oh, yeah. Don't know what's on your list then. Like, so McLaren obviously
But look,
sell a vehicle.
Yes, I don't disagree with you.
Right. So the McLaren 720 should be illegal for sale. Like, I mean, they run 8 second quarters or thereabouts standard. I mean, they sell them. I mean, you can walk in with a driver's license and say, you know, here's my money. Just use PayPal, credit card. I want the fastest street car out the door, and I can go out and kill myself on the first traffic light.
They
Because
also catch fire.
I don't know if they catch fire all that often, but
Well, there was a spell where they were...
yeah, you know. But I mean, they've built a car that is so blindingly quick that any idiot can drive it. Any idiot can buy it and kill themselves in it as
Yeah,
well.
not very good though.
No, you know, I mean, you think if you're selling a car like that, you
Excuse me.
take it off the racetrack, you know, do a bit of driver education. So I put it on the list because it is really the fastest street car
Okay.
out there. 2017 McLaren 720S. Okay. I'll put a Toyota on the list as well. Not any Toyota though.
Obviously, it's not a Camry.
It's not a Camry.
It's not a Prius.
No, it's not a Prius. No.
It won't be a Land Cruiser because I know you like those.
No, and it won't be a high luxury either.
No.
No.
It-
Lexus LFA. What do you reckon?
Yeah.
2012, so it's just made the cut. They only made 500 of them. So from 2010 to 2012, 4.8 litre V10.
I would have the Lexus on the list. I
Yeah.
actually forgot about that, and
Yep.
now I've just added it.
You've added it now to the list.
I actually forgot about that.
Yep. Don't know what the horsepower is, mid to high 500s. I
Yeah.
think it varied a little bit based on model, but 55, 65, 70 horsepower
Yeah.
in that thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's noteworthy
I would agree.
as a Toyota.
Yes.
Mm.
Probably.
Character. You know what I feel about that is blindingly brilliant vehicle that never got the credibility that it actually deserved. Like they made 500 of them, you never hear about them. You see one every now and again.
Very rare.
Literally every now and again.
Yeah.
It's one. And I mean, they look fine.
It's funny, isn't it? How just out of nowhere Lexus go produce a car like that and then revert back to just selling their mundane
stuff.
Mundane
Yeah.
stuff again.
Yeah, it was a blinder. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's like a you know a music artist with a one hit wonder, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is, isn't it? Yeah.
So they've just come out and done it.
Yeah.
We're sort of getting into the good stuff now.
Okay, because that was all terrible.
Oh dear. 2013 and 2014 were great for supercars. I'm back on the supercars.
Yeah, you got a lot of supercars.
Yeah, 2013, 2014 were fantastic for supercars. Three notable mentions.
Okay, go for it.
Ferrari LaFerrari,
Yep.
the Porsche 918,
Yep.
and another McLaren, obviously,
Yes.
the P1,
Which is on my list.
which is on your list. Yeah. Look, I can't see how you could put one on the list without putting the other two, because they all try to build the same car. They all race to build the same car.
Yep.
I think the McLaren, out of all three of them, I'd take the McLaren.
Yep.
I think the Porsche was fastest. I remember Chris Harris actually tested them and he had all three of them out to test.
Mm.
And I think the Porsche was quicker by a mile
It was
over
close.
the other two.
The Ferrari you can't drive on the street, could you? It wasn't
No,
a quick car.
yeah, delivered at the track and all that sort of stuff. And I think the McLaren was an old one that floated around a little bit.
I picked the P1. The P1 is on my list, and I only picked the P1 because I figured of the hybrid supercar kind of genre, if you like. I only picked one, and out of all of them, I would have picked the P1 just because I thought it was the best car. It drove. You could literally set off in battery mode and drive around the streets, and you would think you were driving a normal EV, and then it just turned into ludicrous mode when you.
And they look stunning.
And they look brilliant.
They look absolutely stunning.
I thought it was the best of the lot, and for that reason, that was my sole McLaren and my sole hybrid.
Soul had the hybrid
supercar. That thing.
Yeah. I couldn't really split them. Like, I mean, I think the Porsche had the flamethrowers which came out the back of the top, didn't it? Yeah, as well, which was pretty good.
And I just didn't like it's a Porsche.
Yeah, I know it's a Porsche. Yeah, I mean it was a quick one.
McLaren,
so
just a better. McLaren is a. I'd rather have a McLaren than a Porsche.
Well, yeah.
If I was putting the keys on the table at the bar and there was a rather attractive barmaid on either side that I was trying to impress, I would much rather drop the McLaren key fob than the Coxter key fob.
Yeah. Well, then would a Ferrari one work even better? I don't know. Okay.
Well, I must admit, it'd probably work even better again.
Only if you're Bond. A martini shaken, not stirred.
Yes.
2019. This one just slipped in.
Oh, and I like it when they slip in.
They slip in. Yep. And this one has to be on the list, don't you? It's a Mustang.
God. Not a Mach-E.
Not a Mach-E. No, not a Mach-E.
A 2.3 litre EcoBoost.
The Shelby GT350.
Uh-huh.
Well, you can have an R if you like, yes.
Well, I think I was jumping.
You'd have a Shelby GT350 or a Shelby GT350R. Either one. Take your pick.
Okay.
Ford's endeavour into obviously building a flat plane crank V8 sounded exceptional. I mean, they built a fantastic car with that. As a driver's car, it was unbelievable. So naturally aspirated, early to mid 500 horsepower, manual gearbox. It was great. People love it. So, I mean, you can go faster. I mean, you can buy a Mustang GT and supercharge it and go faster.
Yep.
But that flat plane V8 sound, I mean, it's a Ferrari sound, is what you get, and you're driving a Mustang. And that developed with, obviously, new handling package, splitters, spoilers, wings, all that sort of stuff that come along with it.
Yep.
I think they created one of the best looking Mustangs of the
I think that's the best Mustang there is. I would agree to the point where I think it's the best Mustang. It wouldn't make my top list.
Wouldn't make your top list?
I don't think any Mustang would, to be honest.
Right. Okay. Well,
but the best Mustang I think is that, and I think it's a great car.
But just didn't make your list.
It's not on my list. No.
Okay. Right. I'm getting down to the last three.
Okay.
The last three are going to be tough for you, I think.
Go for it.
The last three is going to be a tough one.
Yep.
Okay. The one that I put third on my list, I remember I was building a list of notable vehicles from 2010 to 2020. Tesla Model S.
It's on my list.
It's on your list.
It's on my list.
Steering wheel on or steering wheel off, doesn't matter.
Yep.
I think it has to be on the list.
I agree.
And I don't think it was on their list, was it?
It was on their list.
It was on their list. Okay, well there you go.
Yeah.
So I didn't pay any attention to their list at all.
No.
I think they commented about it.
Yeah.
I think you have to put the Tesla Model S on the list.
I think you do as well. It was the first electric car that you could really use.
It was the first 10-second golf car.
That you could actually use, and was.
And it looked like a car. It didn't look like an ugly duck.
Yeah.
So because I mean, all the electric cars now just look like ugly ducks. All of them. Doesn't matter who they belong to.
I don't mind the Audi
e-tron
GT. That looks alright.
And the new Dodge Ram looks pretty good too, doesn't it?
And I still like the Model S, even the latest one. I think that still looks good looking car.
Yeah. Well, I said the S, the Model S is.
It's still the one that's.
It actually looks like a proper car.
It's got a bit of a coupe slim.
Yeah.
Most of them are going to SUV way.
Yeah, and that's awful. Who wants to drive a soccer mum's car all the bloody time? So okay, so you're going to love this one as well.
Okay.
I'm still in the. Well, I'm going to finish off. I mean, all the best cars in the 2010s built in America. So like, I'm going with my second choice for the best cars built between 2010 and 2020, and this one was fundamental in what it did in the muscle car industry in America.
Right.
And it actually, and I mean, it was absolutely fundamental about what came after it. So, and we've spoken obviously about, you know, the Shelby GT350, the Dodge Hellcat, 2015, 707 horsepower, big bananas at that stage. It led into the 700 horsepower muscle car era, and it created that market. So, tell me it's on your list.
It's not on my list.
Oh, you loser. You might like to slip it into your list now that I've told you the significance of it.
Well, I'm aware of its significance.
Yeah, because I mean, you know what obviously came after that? You've got 700 horsepower Mustangs.
Yeah, I know.
We've got the Dodge Demon.
Yeah. The Camaro, you can do it as LZ1, God knows whatever it is.
Yeah. Like you know, the drag thing with drag radials, and you know, you press the button, change the fuel, and all that, and away you go. But I mean, some of those went to 800 horsepower as well. Some of those after that. But that led it. Big industry, you know, push that 700 horsepower had to be, and everybody there had to compete with that. I mean, I love the performance area. I mean, you can't say that, you know, throughout that later part and even into now, because I mean, even in Australia, Robbie Herod, 700 horsepower Mustangs out of the GT.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
He built.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where it started.
I don't disagree with anything you say. Still doesn't make my list. Wouldn't be in my top 20 though.
Wouldn't be top 20? Oh, okay.
Wouldn't be my top 20.
You know what's on top of the list, don't you? It's not even a car.
It's a truck.
It's a truck.
Oh my god. Don't tell me it's an F-150.
It's an F-150. Actually, I could put two. Yeah, look, in all fairness, I could put two F-150s.
Is it just the Shelby?
I could put two F-150s on the top of the list. 2017, Ford built the aluminium F-150. So that was a game changer. But under my criteria for what I think, the F-150's obviously been around for a long time. So I couldn't include that yet. Building aluminium
But you've included Mustangs.
Yeah, but that was a Shelby GT350, which didn't exist beforehand.
That's a model of a Mustang, or particular.
Well, yeah, I know.
You're taking your criteria and bending it.
I am, but a little bit, yeah. just a little bit. Top of the list. Okay, and this one does qualify because it did not exist before 2010 to 2014.
Okay.
F-150 Raptor.
Well, you're biased.
It is a super truck. It's the Ferrari of trucks, is what it is. So, like,
So out of any car, so you'd have that over Aventador?
Yeah. Ford created...
You need to go and see someone.
Uber truck.
You need help.
I need help. But Ford created an Uber truck in the market. Like, it did... I mean, you can't take your Aventador out and jump at 300 feet like people did on YouTube.
Well, you can't in that either and expect to survive. But if you don't want the chassis to snap it.
But, I mean, they created... So that truck in 2010 that came out with a 5.4 litre engine, which was then upgraded to 6.2 very quickly. They created the off-road performance trophy truck that you could buy at your local dealer. And it got a kickstart and a head start on the market for many years until the end of it, until Dodge Ram brought out their 707 horsepower, Hellcat powered TRX thing. But I'm putting that top of the list. There you go. Fits my criteria, and it fits my redneck.
I fully...
You've got no words, have you?
I fully expected... and I'm just looking for some dates here because...
right, okay.
I want to make sure the car most qualifies. I fully expected the Raptor to be on the list.
You did, yes.
Because I know what you like. number one.
Yeah, I put it at number 1. Yeah, and the Dodge Hellcat number 2.
Okay. Well,
I mean,
comments below.
I mean, in all fairness, I put the Lambos last.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
As I said, we could have just created a supercar list, but I didn't really want to do that. So.
Okay.
So there you go.
Rightio. Well, I'll move on to mine then, shall we?
Yes. You can add comments as well, guys. You can let us know what you think, what your top cars are on the list, and there's going to be ones that we miss as well. So, but it's just what we think, isn't it? Give me your crap.
Okay.
Cars that you come up with.
So I had, just so I don't repeat them, I had the Aventador.
Yes.
I had the Chiron.
Yep.
And I think that was it.
So you had 2 out of my 20. So I've come up with cars that fit my criteria, and you've got 2 out of 20.
No, so I'm the Tesla Model S.
Tesla 3 out of 20.
Tesla Model S.
And you put the Lexus LFA on that.
Oh yeah, no, I've added that afterwards because I actually did forget about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we've got 4.
Yeah.
Right. And you got no Volkswagens there at all.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. You're going to go reverse order, or are you going to start at the top? What do you reckon?
Just any old order.
Any old order.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll probably start lower end and then move my way up.
Okay. Right. What made you list?
So I started off with Hot Hatch, and it was on their list.
Yep.
So I'll get that out of the way because they was on their list and I agree with them. Fiesta ST.
Fiesta ST. Yes. Agree.
So
I didn't want to have 2 Fords on the list because I put the RS down.
now, I will have a bit of back and forth on this because, as you know, I'm a big Ford RS Focus fan. I have a Ford Focus RS, but it's a Mark II.
Yes, which doesn't qualify.
Which doesn't qualify because it was before 2010. And I still prefer that to the Mark III. The Mark III, I was umming and ahhing about putting the Focus RS on the list because I'm obviously a Ford fan and I'm a RS fan, etc. But I just don't think the Mark III was RS enough. Do you know what I mean?
I do. Oh yeah, absolutely I do.
I think because it was, for the first time they wanted to include the US, and that killed off some of the RS-ness.
Yep.
It went to 5-door,
yep.
Which was the big thing. I think it should have been 3-door. The colours weren't right.
Yeah,
they had the wrong blue.
Yep.
White's white, and it had a black, which Charlie said, but everything was in that blue, which is the wrong RS blue. It should be darker.
Yep.
Obviously the Mark II had that green. The Mark II RS was wider than it actually had its own wheelbase. It was wider than every other Focus.
It was an independent vehicle, wasn't it? Made in limited numbers.
Yeah. Whereas I thought the Mark II was a lot more mainstream, even though it was a great car. So I decided against that, but I put the Fiesta ST there because I think it was literally the best bang for buck hot hatch.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. So I didn't have it on the list because I picked one out of the 2 of them.
Yeah.
And I went that way as opposed to the Fiesta ST.
Yeah.
I think you find that the Fiesta ST, you're right, probably bang for the buck is probably a better vehicle.
Yeah.
It probably drives better, handles better, even though it's not as quick.
Yeah.
But it's more fun to be in.
Yeah.
Is what it is. So we've got an ST as well. So, an earlier model, and it's an absolutely brilliant car. But yeah, agree.
Yeah.
Agree.
Okay.
Like if I could have 21, I'd slip that on
Okay.
as a Fiesta ST as well.
I'll get out a couple of the obvious ones.
Okay. Yep.
In 2012-13, quite simply the best 4-wheel drive in the world was released.
You're going to go with Range Rover something.
Range Rover L405.
Right.
So that's on my list. As you know, I'm a huge fan of the L322.
Yep.
And I would have liked to have even included the 2010 to 2012 L322, the final update of the Range Rover, because that's still probably my favourite Range Rover.
Yep.
But when the 405 came out in 2012, end of 2012, early 2013, when you got to remember back then what its competitors were, it was by far and away, like, just simply above anything else in terms of pure sheer comfort, luxury, ability, off-road, on-road, combined everything. I think it was by far and away the best at that time when it was released.
Yep, I'd agree.
Off-road vehicle, dash on-road, dash luxury, dash everything else available at the time. So Range Rover L405. supercharged V8 would be the one.
Supercharged V8. Yes,
Even
lovely.
though the-
Okay, I'll agree. I will let you put that on your list.
Even though the 4.4 diesel was pretty good. But yeah, supercharged. Yeah. So that's on the list.
Lovely.
2-door sports car. Jaguar F-Type.
Jaguar F-Type. What year did that come out?
That came out in 2013, I think it was.
Okay. Yep.
It obviously came out in V6 and V8.
Yep.
And then later on came the ultimate one, the SVR, which is the one I have.
Yep.
But any V8 Jag F-Type I would most definitely have.
Yep.
And it made Jaguar cool again.
It did make Jaguar very cool again because they had a lot of boring cars.
They did. Even though I've always liked the XK as well, and I still think Jaguar should have made an XK replacement, but that's another topic. But Jaguar F-Type, and specifically the SVR, but even just an R,
right,
is on my list.
Excellent. Yes, agree. I put the Jaguar on the list as well.
McLaren P1 was on my list.
Yep.
That was on your list as well.
Okay. So at the moment you've got 3 cars and they're all British. Range Rover.
Yes.
Jaguar.
Yes. McLaren.
McLaren.
Yes. Okay. I might be adding a 4th one then.
You know, there's other countries that build cars, don't you? Like America.
Well, all yours are American.
It must, yeah, okay.
It was on their list.
It was on their list as well?
Yes.
Yep.
The manufacturer was on your list, but mine is the model
Right.
difference. I'm going with the Rolls-Royce Phantom.
Okay, right, yes.
Quite simply the best car, luxury car in the world. Can't be beaten in any way. The end.
The end. Fair enough.
So, in terms of ultimate luxury
Yep.
and personalisation,
Yeah, agreed. Well, both got rollers
statement.
both put rollers on the list for one reason or another.
I don't think it can be bettered. So yes,
They're brilliant. Like, you just need somebody to drive you around everywhere.
yes. I might add another British manufacturer.
Here it comes.
Aston Martin DBS.
That's the Martin. Oh god, yeah. But was it okay? So was the DBS out in that period or not?
Well, I was actually, and I had another one on the list which I missed out. I must admit I've been a bit slack with my dates. I think it was.
Because I think a few of them came out. They came out before, didn't they? 2010.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that 2010 to 2020 period for Aston wasn't all that great. I think they had a couple of really good cars before then, and they've come into a few good cars now. So.
Well, the DB11's out now, which, you know, but I mean they've effectively become Mercs anyway. Really. Have we got a DBS launch date? I thought it was. Yes, DBS. Yes, in the 2010s, 2013. So that's on my list. I think that was probably the best looking Aston Martin that ever has been in modern day era, without going back to, you know, DB5s and all that. I think it's the best looking Aston Martin, and therefore probably one of the best looking cars ever.
Well, I said
poster child car.
Yeah, well, I've just brought up the limited edition, 25 units only of Ian Callum's Vanquish that they're producing, and you can't tell me that that's not an amazing looking vehicle.
Yeah.
So,
One I had on my list, and it doesn't technically qualify. Okay, because it did come out.
So therefore it can't be put on your list.
Well, I know, but I want to include it.
So it's like a sympathy vote.
It's a sympathy vote because I thought I've got to have a Japanese car there.
Well, I've told you what the Japanese car is.
Well, no. So, but it kind of was introduced towards just before 2010, to be fair.
Right.
But it was throughout the 2010s that it was really.
But it doesn't count then.
But I'm gonna. You bent the rules, so I'm gonna bend the rules, and I'm gonna put in the R35.
The R35, yeah. I was going to put that in until my rules outruled it.
So I'm thinking if I had to have a Japanese, the racer, blah blah blah. R35. Okay, so I mean, the R35 specifically that came out in the 2010s was the GTR Bolt Special.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted them, if I have to stick within the rules.
The whole concept of the R35 was started when?
Well, yes, I know, a long time ago. But
Before 2010, yes.
Well, the R35 came out in 2007.
So you're throwing a Japanese car in there with a Symphony boat and you're cheating to get it in on top of the list?
Yes.
Mm.
Because it was available throughout the 2010s, really. It was really available.
But it wasn't a 10s built car, it was an ooze built
but
car.
I wanted it.
But you wanted it on the list?
I wanted it on the list.
Yeah. Oh, your money? You know what you like?
Because I just think...
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have one, by the way.
You wouldn't have
But
one?
as a...
No, I'd have an R34.
As a mechanical, technical achievement, what they did, I think it's right at the top of the list of what they did in terms of building a car that was just
It had a lot going on.
technologically unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know? So, hence...
Send in the consumer report when you're on the racetrack doing burnouts,
Yes.
like, all that sort of shit.
Yes,
Yeah.
you know, and all that. So,
So I think I'd have the R34 because it's
I would as well.
probably a little bit more agricultural.
I would as well. I'd have the R34 as well. But I sort of bent my rules and had an R35
Right.
on the list, so to speak. So how many have I gone? How many have I? I think that's my list done. Because everything else I thought
I'd covered.
you'd covered. Model S I've got. I thought about putting a Bentley in there, but then I thought, well, I've got the. If I was to go SUV, I'd go Range Rover, even over a Bentayga. And if I've gone luxury car, would I have a Rolls Royce, or would I have like a Continental or a, you know, or a Muslan or whatever, you know, Bentley era? And I think I didn't really like Continentals until recently.
Yep.
I think the 2010 Continentals were.
I think they've grown on. I think they
didn't like them when they were in that era.
And now they've become like a sought after classic style of thing.
So now the latest Bentleys, their knee knocker stuff, I think was unbelievable. But back then I'm a little bit But no Ferraris made the list.
No Ferraris. Yep.
The Lambos obviously did. The Aston Martin did.
Yeah. Oh, you did have a Toyota on the list as well. You had a second Japanese. You had the LFA.
The LFA. Yeah.
So you got a couple of Japos on the list.
Yeah.
So which is fine. Well, I mean we're probably fairly close together on a lot of those cars. I mean you've got half a dozen off my list almost, and I've probably taken a couple of yours and added them onto my list. But
one other that I would probably consider, a noteworthy consideration. Again, it technically doesn't. It's a special edition model, and so it technically doesn't, meet the criteria. But as a luxury Continental cruiser, luxury executive car to get from point A to point B very fast, and up to luxury, etc., would be the Jaguar XJ 575, which was the very, very last special edition.
Started to come out before then.
Yeah, but obviously the XJ had been out for a long time previously. But that particular final iteration of the XJ, I would have one.
There you go. So you've come up with a list mostly of British cars. I've come up with a list mostly of American cars. We're throwing a few supercars down the bottom. Just for shits and giggles.
And I actually checked the date on this because I wasn't 100% sure, and it didn't qualify, so I didn't make my list.
Yep.
But I did want to make a shout out to a local.
Shout out to a local? Ah.
If we could have wound the clock back slightly, a couple of years, I would have gone best bang for buck category, and I would have put an FPV F6.
Yes, okay. But didn't make the 2010s, did they? Because they came out earlier.
I didn't bend the rules for that one.
No. Yeah, I couldn't find anything Australian.
No.
In that. So.
Best Australian cars, we're biased. Would be an F6.
They have to be. Yeah.
The FG 310. They were very good.
They're very good. Yeah. Very good.
I did consider like an XR8 Sprint or something like that. If I wanted to try and include a.
Yeah, I know.
But by then I think they.
It's hard to compete.
By then they were just so far behind.
Yeah.
And probably the last HSV LSA thing was probably better, but I can't have a Holden on the list, so. I didn't include it.
Yeah. There you go. So that's our list. 2010 to 2020.
And if I was to have anyone, so you would have an F-150.
I'd have the F-150, yeah.
So I'd struggle with the Aventador.
Because you can't drive it all the time.
Can't drive all the time. Probably the Rolls.
Probably the Rolls.
Probably the Rolls would be the top of the list.
It's a tough one, isn't it? Like, I mean, when you start picking them off the list,
Rolls Royce Phantom.
What would you actually pick? Yeah.
I'd probably have the Phantom as the ultimate car. You know, if I drive one every day, I could only have one car.
Yep, one car, drive it every day.
Drive it every day.
We'll do everything.
Anyway, well, then I think, what about the Range Rover? Because like really, we'll do everything.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah. It's hard to beat. Like,
it's hard to beat the Range.
For doing absolutely everything.
It may not be the best in every category. It's not, clearly.
Yep.
But if you had to have every category added together.
Yep. You'd buy an F-150.
But they drive terrible. Well, they're a horse and cart.
In comparison to what?
They're a horse. A horse and cart.
Oh dear.
Isn't it amazing? You would have an F-150. I'd have a Range Rover. What do you have?
I got an F-150.
What do I have?
You got a Range Rover.
We're not biased in the slightest.
No, we're not biased in the slightest at all. So, like, but also try to be realistic, I guess, as well. You know, as opposed to driving, $1 million supercars. Which is just not living in the real world, really, is it? So, but
I think I'd have a Range Rover and then maybe the Jag F-Type SVR. As my sort of two-car garage.
Yeah, I think there's a couple on the list that are really good. Like, would you have a Bugatti Chiron? I mean, absolutely. Yes.
Of course you would.
If you could get one. I think an Aventador would be hard to live with every day. I think a McLaren 720S is hard to live with every day. I think anything of that calibre is. You don't want to drive it every day.
No,
you can't put any Ks on. You
can't put any Ks on.
Really, because you just devalue them, and of course that becomes a problem. So, if you look at it and say, well, what do you want to drive that doesn't become a problem? You're buying something like an Alpine. You're buying something like, a Ford Fiesta ST. Like, they are good cars to drive.
They are. So,
So they're lovely. Golf Mark 7R, comfort, luxury, decent sort of power.
Nice.
Probably better than the Ford RS.
No, I wouldn't have that.
You wouldn't have that? Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? So
anything that only came out in the 2020s so far that you would now put on the list?
Well, we can't do that till 2030.
No, just so far.
I don't know. Would I put on this? I'd have to give it some thought.
Like I'm thinking, straight away.
So 3 years.
Straight away, I think, well, the Fiesta ST is probably beaten by the Yaris GR. Just as start right at the bottom of the list, hot hatch.
Yep.
I'd say the Toyota Yaris JR is probably better than the Fiesta ST.
Yep.
So I'd probably go out in. And
what about the new? Yeah, well, that's the new Toyota, isn't it?
Yeah,
the new Toyota.
Toyota Yaris GR.
Yeah. You'd probably say it's the best on the market at the moment.
Best hot hatch on the market.
And you say, okay, if you want to drive something every day and live with that every day, you're not going to depreciate the hell out of it.
Yeah.
So, because they're only worth 50 grand or something.
So what would drop off now, and what's been surpassed? So I think that's one.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't have to give it some more thought. I mean, you'd probably. Well, would you put a 458 Ferrari on there now?
Yeah. There's the you got what's that one now? Is it the 812? Is it? Oh, I can't remember. I get confused by Ferraris. There's, the latest Ferrari hybrids are just.
Yep.
They're warp speed quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. But are they as good?
F-150 Raptor R.
Range Rover SVR. SVO, sorry. 4.4 litre V8 twin turbo.
Completely fixed it. Top of the Ford F-150 Raptor R.
Which is not as good as in the Range Rover SVO. L6464.
I don't know.
I do.
So maybe that's a conversation for another day anyway. So.
Because Lambo are still soldering on with the same models.
Well, they're like Porsche. If it works, don't change it.
So has the Aventador stopped now? I think it has now. Question. I think they have now stopped the Aventador. Well, stop making it.
Stop making it, yeah.
I'm pretty sure. But I think the Hurricane's still going.
Yep. And they're still making the Urus.
Well, Audi are, yeah.
Yeah. They still sell bucket loads on them,
Yeah, well, it's like any manufacturer. They've all got. I mean, Aston Martin built one, Ferrari have now built one. So I think that's pretty much every manufacturer.
Yep.
Well, McLaren are the one that comes to mind that haven't built an SUV.
Thank God for that.
So
thank God. And McLaren do not build an SUV.
Yeah.
Please just keep building 720s and better cars like that.
Yeah.
So because I think there's just too many SUVs on the market. Unfortunately, people buy them.
Everyone wants one.
Everyone wants one.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay.
So on that note, your best car is British, my best car is American. It's probably no great
surprise.
No great surprise. And we both picked non-vehicles.
And I'm British and you're not American. So it doesn't really explain it. Just said something about something.
Closet. Very good.
From the person who reads the Cowboy News.
From the person I've really got nothing to add for the Cowboy News this week, actually. I might have some more for next week for you.
I look forward to that.
Lovely.
And on that note, we shall see you next week, and comment below what your favourite cars are. And if you were mildly entertained, it would be wonderful if you could leave us a 5-star review.
Thanks very much. Cheers, guys. Have fun.
Bye.